But we're going to do one more type of loop. So we've already done this loop last week called a counted loop or a for loop. And it allowed you to run whatever code inside of this for statement would run however many times you told it to count for. Not only that, it conveniently also kept track of what part of the loop it was in. So if I put I here, it should put the numbers 1 through 100 on the screen. Oops. I forgot a dot dot here. There you go. So that was great. There's another type of loop in Scratch. It was called repeat until. And you could put this thing in there called a condition, like a true or false statement, right? Is that my N? Looks like an R. Got cut off because of the font. Repeat until. And that loop in most coding languages is called while. Okay? So let's do something with a while loop. So I'm going to make a variable, and I'm going to call it counter. Okay? Oh, that's not how you make a variable in Turing. You write var counter, and then you give it the type. Okay? And I'll start it at 0. Counter colon equals 0. Now, what I'm going to do is run code while counter is less than 100. And it is less than 100. It's 0, right? And then I'll say end while. I believe that's the way to do it. And then I'll put on the screen something. I'll put on the screen counter. Okay. Is that how you do it? How do you do a while loop? Oh, it's just the word loop. It's just the word loop. I forgot that. Okay. And loop, like that. And then, to get the loop to quit, you have to write the word exit when. In every other coding language, it's called a while loop, but not in Turing and not in Scratch. Exit when counter, let's say, is greater than 100. Okay? So watch what happens here. It's never going to quit, because counter's never going to be greater than 100. It's just kind of stuck. It's just going to print 0 forever. How do I get it to stop and count from 0 to 100? Inside of my loop somewhere, this code is running over and over and over again. I'm going to go counter should equal itself plus 1. So let counter equal whatever it was plus 1. And you'll see that it'll slowly count up. Okay, and as soon as it gets to greater than 100, it quits. And that's great. Okay. The only problem here is, look, I can only see up to 77. And I'm going to go under Preferences and change my run window so it's a little longer. Do you see how it's only 80 columns there? Or 25 rows, I guess? I'll make that like 100. Hit OK. That's under File, Preferences. Zoom in on there. Let me zoom. File, Preferences, and then under Run Window, you can make the run window more than 25. So now hopefully I'll be able to see a little bit more. Yeah, you can see I can scroll down now. There you go. Great. Okay. So that is called a conditional loop. It exits when some sort of true or false condition is met. So let's say we have some code where we want someone to type something in, and then we want to keep track of it, like an average number or something. Let's do that. So let's go var. We'll enter one more type of grade, or one more type of integer. We'll call it total or something like that. Okay. It's also going to be an int. And then we'll say that we want it to start out at 0. Okay. We're going to give this person a message, that says enter in numbers, positive numbers. Positive numbers. To quit, enter in a negative number. So we're leaving them a little message. Okay. And so we don't need to put the counter on the screen, and we probably don't even need to keep track of the counter, but we will. We'll just say we need one more variable for them to type in. So we're going to say var number, and then we'll have a total that keeps track of all the ones we're typing in. So we'll make a variable that holds an integer. I guess we'll start it off at 0 as well. It's best to give these initial values like that. And we will say exit when number is less than 0. Okay. And then here we'll write the word get number. So this is going to be a loop that just allows us to keep typing numbers in over and over and over again. See that? It's probably storing them in that variable number. As soon as I type a negative number, it should quit. Quits my program. Great. Okay. So after we get this number, we should add it to our total so that we keep track of how many numbers we've had altogether. Okay. After my loop is over, I'm going to put the total on the screen, and I'm going to put the counter on the screen so I can keep track of the total numbers I have and the total time someone typed it in. So let's write 10, 20, 30, and 40. That should add up to 10 plus 20 is 30. That should add up to 100. And it should know that I typed in 4 numbers. Let's type in a negative number and see if it works. Negative 8. It thinks I typed in 5 numbers, and it thinks they total 92. Let's think about what it did wrong. It added this -8 and counted it as an entry. Okay. So what I actually want to do when I'm done my loop here is make sure that total does not add -8. So I'm going to write total equals total minus number. That should get rid of the fact that I added a -8, and it should subtract a -8. And then I should let counter go down by 1 as well, so that counter is not 5 but 4. Let me just try that. I'll leave myself a little message here that says don't count last number typed. You can see how this code's getting a little more complicated now. So if I write 10, 20, 30, 40, and then whatever negative number I want, minus 50, it should add up those 4 and tell me I have 4 numbers that I've added there. Yeah, it adds them. It knows now that the total number of numbers I've added is 100 and the total numbers I've typed in is 4. I'm going to pause that, see if you can get that code running. So the last step, if I want to find an average, is just to divide those two. So I could put something like this. Put the average of your numbers is, put a little comma here, just take the total that they typed, divide it by the counter. Will that work? 60. What's the average between 60 and 70? Does anyone know? What's the average of the two numbers 60 and 70? You got that on? 60. Yeah. Look, the average of your numbers is 65. It did it because it took 130 and divided it by 2. It's smart, isn't it? No, it's not smart, okay? It's smart because you typed it. Okay? That's a hard question. But try those questions today and tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, we're going to start our graphics.